Hey Westlight, we're 42 days in, and now they're telling us that COVID-19 may have been around since last fall. And I don't know about you, but like this ever-changing information or the contradictory information that we're getting is probably causing me more stress and anxiety than the idea of possibly getting COVID-19. I don't know who to believe. And then because of that, I don't know what to do. And so I just need to name it. Like, we are going through some really hard and scary times. Like, it is what it is, but we are going through some really hard and scary times. And I feel tired and anxious and powerless. And so I wanted to share that, like, while we're in the midst of this chaos and we can't control our circumstances, we can control what we do. And these 5 steps that I'm going to give you are things that we can do to help us emotionally and mentally and physically and spiritually. So the first step is to name your feeling and write it down. And I know I've said this before, but I'm reminding myself as I am reminding you that when we can spend time on our fuel up card and identifying our feeling and writing it down, it helps our brain to calm us down, and we feel a little bit less stressed and a little bit less anxious. And then the second step is to think about, why are we feeling that way? So I shared how I'm feeling tired and anxious and powerless. Well, it's because I'm getting all this information that doesn't make sense, that contradicts one another, and I don't know who to believe. And just naming that, those 2 steps really help me and my brain to calm down. And then so after you've done steps 1 and 2, then go ahead and go on with your day. Start work, do your devotions, whatever you would normally do, go ahead and do that, and allow your brain and your heart to kind of take in and process that information. And so step number 3 would be later on, contact some people and ask them if they can be present with you. If you're with us in the Fuel Up series, this is quadrant 1, where people can accept you, identify with you, and just be with you. Because we need to know that people are with us and are for us. And that's so important. And all those other advice and prayer and Bible verses and advice, all of that is good, but we need to experience the presence first, because it will just be able to take it in even more so, all of those good nutrients, if we experience presence first. Presence is so important. And I have to say that presence can come from your spouse, but it doesn't have to be your spouse. The whole idea is to create a team of people. It could be a small team or a large team of people around you to help fuel you up. And so, it could be, mutual, or even better if it's mutual. If you ask someone to hey, let's have a 20-minute conversation where you share 10 minutes and I can be present with you, and I'll share 10 minutes, and then, the other way around. It's presence is so key and so important, which leads me to the next step. Step number 4 is ask for the good. Ask for the good and the reality and the action, the quadrants 2, 3, and 4 that we need. And that, after you experience the presence, it could be the same person, ask them for advice. Tell them, wow, that was really good. I felt like you were with me, that you're for me, and that you got it. Now, what can I do? Give me some advice or give me some perspective. Whatever you think that you need, go ahead and do, ask for that. It could be, I need a different perspective. Tell me your viewpoint. You seem to be handling this well. I'm going crazy. Tell me how you're doing it. Or, I live alone and you live alone, but how are you dealing with the loneliness? Give me some wisdom that you have to share on how you are coping with this. All of those are really good, but we need to do all of those steps 1 through 4, which leads me to step number 5, which is to do steps 1 through 4 again. 1 through 5 is a process that we can do over and over again. It's not hey, I did 1 through 5 and I'm good for the rest of the month. We need to do it based on what our needs and the stress and anxiety that we're feeling. And it's going to be different for each one of us. Before COVID-19, I was doing maybe 14 contacts of fueling up, 14 calls a month. Now with COVID, I'm really trying to do like 7 contacts a week. I feel like that's a good rhythm for me. When I learned or volunteered to do Westlight Live and I had to learn a program in a short amount of time, I did 7 contacts in one day because I was feeling really nervous about it. So it's really about healing. You know, it's just a good thing to do this over and over again. And I think it's because research shows that it helps, but also the way Jesus lived out his life. I know I said this in my sermon, but really, like in the Garden of Gethsemane, when Jesus was feeling overwhelmed about what was ahead, the suffering and the torture and his death on the cross, what did he do? He went to his Father. He needed his Father, and he needed his team, his friends around him, and he asked them to be present with him. And so even a perfect and beautiful relationship with God, it's not enough. We need one another as well. We need both. And I think that Jesus modeled that and he lived that out. And we can be like him too, that we may not be able to control the circumstances that we're in, but we can control our actions and what we need and what's going to help us emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually. And I think if we can do this, then we're going to feel encouraged and empowered and equipped to take these small action steps that we have control over what we can do. And it's really going to help us in the midst of this chaos.